Your phone rings. You look down, see the name, and your stomach does something it really shouldn't do for a completely normal human interaction. You watch it ring, and then go to voicemail. And then, only then, you exhale. You'll text them back, obviously, in like 10 minutes, maybe after you've figured out exactly what you want to say. If this is you, the world has probably told you that you're rude, antisocial, or just a little bit dramatic about something that takes 2 minutes. But here's what the world hasn't told you. There is actual psychology behind why phone calls feel disproportionately stressful for certain people. And it has nothing to do with rudeness and everything to do with how your particular brain processes social pressure. So let's talk about it. The phone call avoider is almost never someone who hates people. In fact, it's usually the opposite. They tend to care deeply about how they come across, how they make others feel, and whether the interaction goes well. That caring is precisely the problem, because a phone call, unlike a text, is unscripted. It's live. There's no editing, no backspace, no 30-second pause to choose the right word. It demands real-time performance with zero margin for the kind of thoughtful, careful communication that certain people genuinely need to feel like themselves. Psychologists link this strongly to what's called communication apprehension, a form of anxiety specific to certain types of interaction. For people who experience it, the anticipation of a phone call activates the same threat response as any anxiety trigger. Cortisol rises. The mind starts racing through possible scenarios. What if they ask something I'm not prepared for? What if there's an awkward silence? What if I say the wrong thing and there's no way to fix it before they've already heard it? And here's the fascinating part. This isn't irrational. Your brain is responding to something real. Phone calls genuinely are more cognitively demanding than texting. You're processing tone, pacing, content, and social cues all simultaneously in real time with no pause button. For a brain that's wired for depth over speed, that's not a small ask. That's a sprint when you were built for a long, considered walk. There's also something specific about the lack of visual cues that makes calls harder than face-to-face conversation for many people. In person, you have body language, facial expressions, and eye contact to read. Over text, you have time and deliberate word choice. But a phone call sits in an awkward middle ground. You have tone, but nothing else. And for people who are sensitive to social nuance, that missing information doesn't register as neutral. It registers as ambiguous. And ambiguity for an overthinking brain is not comfortable. Ambiguity is homework. Research in communication psychology has consistently shown that people with higher social anxiety show measurably greater distress around unplanned real-time communication, not because they lack social skill, but because their internal standards for social performance are simply higher. They're not underprepared, they're overly invested in getting it right. There's also a generation piece worth naming. Texting, messaging, and asynchronous communication have rewired the social expectations of an entire generation. The phone call, which used to be the only option, now arrives unannounced as an interruption rather than a default. And psychologically, being interrupted requires a different kind of readiness than choosing to engage. For someone whose nervous system already treats phone calls as mildly threatening, the unsolicited ring of a call is doubly jarring. It combines social pressure with a demand to perform immediately, right now, without warning. None of this means you never have to make a phone call, but it does mean that the discomfort you feel is not a personality defect. It's a pattern, one that makes complete sense given how your brain is wired, what you value in communication, and what kind of environment helps you actually show up as yourself. The goal isn't to become someone who answers every call with zero hesitation. The goal is to understand why you don't, stop shaming yourself for it, and give yourself the grace to communicate in ways that let the real you come through, not just the panicked, unscripted, winging it Grecian that phone calls sometimes pull out. You're not antisocial, you're just someone who thinks before they speak. And in a world that rewards the faster talker, that's worth something. If you've ever let a call ring out and immediately felt guilty, drop a comment below. You're not alone in this. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.